Hello and welcome to Cosmic Emporium. And this is another, I guess podcast, but this is a little bit different because we have Spiritwind from Earth Empaths. And Earth Empaths is another one of the many forums, I guess, that probably sprung out of the Project Avalon forum. So welcome, Spiritwind. Hello.
Hello there. Nice to join you today.
We should mention that Spiritwind is on a satellite. Satellites have latency. I lived 8 months with a satellite. I know what that's like. So if there seems to be sometimes a little lag in the conversation, it's technology. There's nobody here is having little mini strokes. Okay, so we were going to speak about this, what we're doing here, about trying to create conversation with the people that we've been online with now in certain cases for like 7 years. I mean, I was on Project Avalon in 2010. I left Project Avalon in 2012. So we have a lot of years. And you were on Project Avalon as Spiritwind, right?
Yes, I was on Project Avalon from about January of 2012 until about, I think, a couple years ago in the spring of 2015. And then I moved on to a couple of other forums. And then I kind of landed at Earth Empaths and decided that's really where I wanted to devote my time and energy.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we're a small forum,
yes,
there are a few people who keep up with what we're doing there, and it seems like a nice hub for everybody to stay connected, worth putting some time and energy into. Mm-hmm.
Well, Christine and Corellia making those videos has always been nice, and and they hook up with Randy Malgans, who I have a lot of respect for. So
they have done a tremendous amount of work.
Yes. Well, Christine and I have been pretty good. We've been good buddies, and it's really interesting with especially people with Avalon, because we all have our history with Mr. Ryan, and fortunately, Christine's a really good person, and I also, even though I could probably milk some humor out of certain situations, it's just really interesting how the biggest forum on, probably, I think it's the biggest forum. Some people say it might be above Top Secret. But how, in many ways, the reason I'm talking to you is because of Project Avalon. It's kind of like the monolith there. So I'm kind of like, so now I've been based at the One Truth that Malk started, but obviously I'm a member at the Earth Empaths. I'm also a member at iRise, which is Kathy's. I forget her last name. Kathy Thomas. She has she has that one, and I'm in contact with everybody. So it's just really great. So why don't we I would like to get you started in a conversation here so people can hear your voice, because they hear mine all the time.
Well, let's see. What can I really say about my time on the various different forums? This is how I got to know so many people. Really, there's just some wonderful, wonderful people that I have got to know better since I left Avalon. And so I really do have my time there to thank for basically getting a chance to know some of these people. So we all left for various different reasons. I think any forum kind of changes over time, and so I'm more interested in posting my own stuff. It's funny, when I joined Avalon, I was really looking for information, and I had a lot of time on my hands because I was working the night shift at a local hotel, and it was one of the ways I could stay awake.
Uh-huh.
But over a period of a few years there, I learned a lot more about people and myself, strangely enough, and I found less interest in trying to decipher what was going on out there in the world. I've not really figured it all out exactly, but I'm not as interested anymore because I'm kind of onto the tactics that are being used, where they originated. You know, after a while, you just see the framework of how things operate and you can't unsee it. So it's just kind of boring. It gets boring after a while. So I'm not as interested in what's going on out in the world as far as deciphering it and picking it apart and trying to figure it out. I still like keeping up on things, which, you know, listening to some of your recordings and others has really helped me in that, because we know the media is not going to give us anything that we really want to know about, being owned by six corporations.
It's not their job to give us
control everything.
Yeah. It's not their job.
That's true, and they're definitely not giving us anything I want to know. Well, I can't even stand to turn on the TV news. It just repulses me.
No, I
so
can't.
I have to get all of it from secondhand alternative sources on the internet.
I can't stand the questions they ask. I mean, even when I hear the questions, it's not like information. It's gotcha. It's dirt. It's gossip. It's anything but important. Anything but important.
It's like even the tone of their voice.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to define.
You know, after a while, sorry.
It's okay. You go. You speak.
Well, I just get a little excited sometimes, and then I can really, you know, fortunately I didn't drink any coffee, or I could really talk fast. It's just, I can't even listen to the TV anymore because of the dissonance in their voice. It's like once you hear how lies really sound energetically, then you realize that almost every single word coming out of their mouth is not true. And I don't want to hear the dissonance, you know, in what is coming out of their mouth, even if you ignore the word. So that's why I like to have conversations with people who are speaking their truth. You know, that's to me where I want to put my energy, where I want to go.
Well, it's one of the things I'm trying to do, and Gio was also doing, is we're trying to pull people out of the cyber world a little bit. You know, I mean, at least from the anonymity of pure text. Obviously, we're still using technology, but the voice carries a lot of information, like you just said about these people. You can hear them lying. You can get quite a bit when you listen. And so when by us speaking, by a voice coming out of text and into a form, and it has an inflection, and you can hear the little hot and colds about subject, and as an energy, I mean, you can hear all these things. You can really hear a living person. And we're really trying to cultivate not only an awareness of each other, but realizing that, you know, so much of the forum communities are based on observing what they can be the Illuminati, the Cabal, the global controllers, the Dirty Dozen, the 30 families, you know, we know what I'm talking about. They in quotations. And we're always seem to be tracking what they are doing to us today. Okay, so what this little fraction of 1% is doing to the 99%, I have been hearing this metric for too long and going, the only reason that this discussion is even possible is because we're paying attention to what they're doing while we're sitting at our computer. We have to start being active locally. You know, the whole idea of ground crews is one thing, but not if you have, if it requires moving, but you want to relocate, it's fine. But like I relocated from where I was living in New York to a place in Virginia, which I love. And I'm trying to set up, you know, a social situation here that is involved with the town halls and what gets made. And I mean, we have a lot of laws not to make, to revoke. I mean, we have to bust the matrix. I did a video last night. I don't call it the matrix. I call it the paratrix, this parasitic thing that's on the organic matrix. But I just, we need to start acting locally and finding what can we do. I mean, there's so much chaos. So the funny thing about chaos is a fairly good time to try and bring some order to a situation, because it's not quite as resistant. They're too busy doing whatever they're doing. What do you think?
What you said back at the beginning about the 1%, by us paying so much attention to them, it totally gives our power and control over to them. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to pull back from that. Absolutely. So, we can talk to each other now through Skype and Zoom, and there's just, it's using the technology at hand to our advantage. So not only can I connect with people all over the world, but then, like you said, I'm also starting to do the thing on a local level, and that is equally as important. And I've found that even though I've engaged in various different things over the years, it is different now, especially with this recent election. People are coming out in droves. I think there's, I started a local meetup group for spiritual activism, and right around the same time, I did that in December, and there were like 2 or 3 other similar groups that started up about the same time. It's in the area I live in, it's not that large. So one is called Resist, with the hashtag Resist, and a lot of people join that one. And there's another one to go and just do activism kind of things in your local community, more along, like nursing homes or helping the homeless and things like that. And I started one that was basically trying to incorporate the concept that you have to do work on yourself as well as what you do out in the world. If you don't kind of do both, then you're kind of missing the boat, because I've noticed there's still a lot of people who are very reactive. They haven't gotten a hold of their emotional nature yet. And I know if I can do it, anybody can do it. So yes, it does take some hard work, but it's an equal component to that. And I've already met some absolutely outstanding people in my local community. So I'm just really excited with where that's going, and things that are taking shape, plans that are being made, things that we're going to do in the future. And that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't started that meetup group. And it's kind of funny because I actually just wrote that out one day. I thought, well, what can I do locally? And then it hit me in the head. Well, I've done this before. It's not that hard. You just start up a local meetup group. So I got on there and I wrote up what I would do. And then I thought, well, I'm going to wait till after Christmas because I don't have the money. Because it costs you to have a membership or, for a meetup group. Mm-hmm. And so I just put it on hold, and then they sent me an email and they go, well, we noticed that you started the process but didn't finish, so we're going to give you half off.
Oh.
And I went, okay. It's like, well, that made it real easy. Mm-hmm. And so I just went for it. And it's just amazing what's already come out of it. So I'm excited about that. I think people are really ready to start coming out of their comfort zone. Maybe they've been pushed out of their comfort zone, so that's a good thing. I hate to say it, but, people have to kind of be motivated.
Well, I don't know whether I've been associated with something called Global Mission of Peace for about 2 years now. And we have weekly meetings. Yes. We have 2 weekly meetings. And we've been doing this now. We're into our 22nd month. And we've had gatherings. We had one in Floyd. That's how I discovered this town. And I realized that I wanted to live here. But also, like, one of the people who was part of Global Mission of Peace, banjo player and somebody else, he had found the place, and I came here. He lives about 45 minutes away from me. And he had 2 cars. From the day I moved here, March 8th, what made a year, he has lent me one of his cars. So this is the power of networking. I mean, people I met in my network, I now live by. I play with him at least once a week. We're playing music out. We're forming things. I have a car that he lends me. I'm interacting all the time with people. I mean, and all of this was because we started to speak to each other. There was another guy who who joined another man who runs a place for homeless people out in California, and he went there and worked with him for 2 months. I mean, and these were people who had met online. I mean, we've had some really serious interaction with our members, and it's all because of dialoguing.
That's very exciting. I met a young couple, Dana and John, and his mother, I believe, and they started a group called Modern Masters. It's not really a group, it's a website, but it's got far more to it than I have even had a chance to delve into. It's www.modernmasters.org. And they're just a phenomenal couple they're, I think in their, I don't know exactly, I don't want to, late 20s, early 30s. And they're just on fire with what they want to bring to the table. He used to be a gamer and design games. I can't remember the company he worked for. Yeah, it's eluding me right now, but the design is really nice. They want to do kind of how would I put that? He's designing a game, sort of, but it's more like a game for people who want to grow spiritually and, you know, engage in that self-reflective process, but do it in a more online software type environment. You know, I've done it, but not in that way, but it doesn't matter. It appeals to young people. I guess that's what I noticed, because when I shared this with older people, they kind of went, and then when I shared it with my niece and my daughter, they're both 20s, 30s, they were like really interested. And so young people are interested in this. And so that's another thing. I want to kind of bridge that gap between generations, because there is kind of, you know, I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday, I think, how the older you know, I'm just not into the technology end of it. We do what we have to get by, but it's not my thing. And that's the way it is for a lot of people in my age. And younger people, they've grown up with it. It's just natural to them. And so they're all over it. I mean, they can do, 3-year-olds can do things I can't do with my phone. So that's what I can say about that.
Yeah,
And
well,
it's been really, really fun getting to know people. I'm glad to have pushed myself a little bit out of my shell that I was in.
Yeah, technology is just, you know, something. So many, you know, blessings and curses seem to come almost like as a double-edged sword, and it's all in how you wield it. And so I just don't know what I'm reading about Generation Z. That would be like the latest generation that some of them are just starting to, I guess, go to college now. And they're, from what I can tell, they're kind of good. They're an interesting group, and I think they're a group for what I consider us old baby boomer aging hippies. For me, this is actually take two. In the 60s, 70s, we got some movement going, but you know, obviously, you know, the opposition to us became us, and we kind of just dissolved into a drugged out haze. And then we just kind of faded into the woodwork, and we're, you know, you can see visible, you know, they're visible. But I just really feel this is a time for the people who kind of dropped the ball a little bit to pick it up and try and get some change done before we leave the planet, so that we did in fact hand them a little slightly better deal, because we seriously dropped the ball on who was coming up behind us.
I would agree with that. I think a lot of the younger people hopefully are learning from our mistakes from the 60s and 70s. You know, there was a lot of idealism, and, you know, if you've done your research, you know that a lot of what stopped that movement from becoming what it could have been was orchestrated, was intended. You know, the drugs that came into the picture, and much, much more than that, and the war and so on. So I think they're a lot wiser. A lot of them have grown up. The young man that I'm talking about was homeschooled. So fortunately, he hasn't been as indoctrinated by the public school system, and it shows. So there are a lot of younger people out there who have a pretty good beat on what's happening. And I think they are wanting information that goes beyond the mainstream, beyond even the new age. You know, they're figuring out a lot of that was just turned into a new religion.
You know,
and they're wanting change. They're wanting to find solutions.
I just like what happened to the hippie movement and the infiltration. I am, as far as I can tell, the New Age movement has been seriously messed with. In other words, the New Age was something to mess with, like the hippie generation. And this doesn't. And the whole thing, when I say messed with, yeah, these alphabet agencies do mess with us. To me, I feel no more victimized by them than I feel victimized by a mosquito. I mean, yeah, mosquitoes annoy me, but I mean, if I catch it, I'm going to, it's going to end. I mean, once again, I put things into perspective. But it's the New Age. The New Age was almost like the hippies. When it first broke out, it was brilliant. It was clean. And then all of a sudden it became the opportunistics, the people who saw a method and adopted the method, but it was just clothing to put on to get paid. And then of course, the whole idea of let's test out a wild idea. And these people just cast these bizarre ideas out there. Some of them, they create personas with these things, and then they ride the wave of notoriety for a while, at the whole time, to me, just leaving a trail of confusion. But I don't fault them. They're just being who they are. We are the ones who need to be vigilant. It's like an immune system. There are viruses, there are pathogenic bacteria, but if your immune system is competent, and a lot of it has to do with vigilance and just kind of being in the moment, then it's not such an issue. But if you're just kind of, in Disneyland, the world, your immune system does it. You have a suppressed immune system when you're living in a kind of a Disneyland existence. And I feel that a certain amount of the New Age has created a lot of Disneyland scenarios. From something that's really rich. I mean, I come from the perennial wisdoms. I mean, probably one of the more recent books written in that thick, deep intellectual style was the Seth material. Deep stuff. I mean, it was like studying physics. The Roundtable material is kind of like that too. I resonate more. I mean, if we're talking about channeled people, there was something about the Seth spirit that I felt a lot more resonant with. Ramtha is pretty militant kind of guy. I mean, he's got his wisdom. But he rolls differently. So I enjoyed the Seth material. But even them, they have to be read with some caution. There's a lot of great technical information and some spiritual. But when things tend to lead towards technical, sometimes you've got to wonder who's giving you the information. Not that it won't be correct, but will that correct information take you in the right path?
That's very interesting to think about. It does seem that a big part of the lesson for all of us is discernment. I know it certainly has been for me. And I have dabbled in a lot of things over the years out of curiosity. I could go on and on with everything that I've looked into. And I've learned from all of it. I mean, even the stuff that I found over time wasn't really what I thought. I learned from it. And it's all been a process of learning discernment. In fact, that was a big topic of my last meetup, was discernment.
Yes.
I mean, channeling, I just never, who was it? Sheldon Niddle. Oh yeah, him. He was really something else. But anyway. I think it's gaining momentum. That's what I really think. I see more and more people wanting to cross all those boundaries, all those things that kept us from connecting with each other. Because it's even more than that. It's like there's always been this subtle, I don't know what it is, that people just don't want to go that next step to connect with each other, to talk to one another. The written word is fine, I have a great respect for it, and then meeting each other is even better. You know, I've actually got to meet a few of these people that I got to know on the forums, and it's been delightful in every way. I mean, I just can't tell you how much that brought everything that I read, you know, that they shared over the years, into more focus for me. It just, you know, we just have to make that effort. I don't know what it is that stops people. Fear, thinking they're not good enough, their voice doesn't matter. You know, I'm no expert on anything, and you know, I have no intention of trying to make a name for myself. At one point, I did want to make a career doing things like astrology readings and Reiki, and I still enjoy those things. But now, my whole focus is on learning just how to create the life I want.
Yes.
And it's, you know, you can educate others by just doing what you love. That's what I found out. And so it's total. Now I'm moving away from the system totally. You know, I don't want to have money for everything, and I want to have the time to talk to people like you.
Well, I think wasn't it Huck Finn, or was it Tom Sawyer? I mean, but the one who had to paint the fence, and he really didn't want to do it, so he kind of made it look interesting, and he made it look so other people would come along and, that looks like fun. Can I do it too? That's part of, you know, it's either in Huck Finn or Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer. But apparently, you know, he didn't run it, and he kind of, again, he got other people almost by example. I guess I don't quite remember the whole thing, but part that we really do teach best by example. And I do have some concern about how education has unrolled. I mean, when I was 12, I mean, I'm 64 now. The age of 12 is a few decades away. But at that time, they had started something new in the school where you didn't know, you no longer knew where you stood scholastically in your class. Like, you know, in fifth grade, I was in 5-1. That was the most scholastic class. Then you had 5-2, 5-3, 5-4, in, you know, descending academic demonstrations. We'll put it that way. And but when I went into sixth grade, it was just a 6 in the homeroom, and part of the whole reason was, by the time I was 12, they were already starting to worry more about people's esteem than how educated they were. And so I think one of the problems people will start running into and interact socially is they've been all about esteem. Whatever they know is good. You can't spell wrong. I mean, no matter what, you're just golden, no matter what you are. And then you go into the real world, and you got to, in fact, have, you know, things like this. And I think that there's the whole idea of making your case, and then if you're in a good debate, sometimes somebody might wither your case, in which case you might go, "Ooh, that was helpful," but only if you're open to improving yourself. If you get invested in esteem, if esteem is your main thing, then being right becomes so important, because esteem suffers in those kind of trainings when you're not right. So to be wrong is to be shamed almost. And I think that's really unproductive, because in a good, rigorous academic, intellectual environment, being wrong is just a chance to correct things.
That's very well said, because people are afraid to be found out that they're wrong. I've gotten past that some long time ago. I've been wrong about lots of things, so it doesn't bother me so much. In fact, I have to admit, as I learn new things, I have to constantly rework what I thought I knew. So I'm always revising things. I never want to be looked at as the expert on anything, because I'm always learning new things and receiving more information. And so what I said a few years ago, I might have been accurate to the best of my knowledge at that time, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I really want to know the truth. And it turns out it's a lifelong passion once you figure out that everything you thought you knew pretty much wasn't what you thought.
Well, yeah, I'll leave it there. I had a thought that I kind of skipped through, so if it comes back, I'll replay it.
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
so how long have you been on Earth Empaths now?
how since they started in February of 2015, I think it was.
Hmm.
Yeah. So 2 years.
Yeah. I tell you, one of the things,
You know,
go
when
ahead.
I started there, oh, well, when I started there, I had still something really interesting happened for me. I had a shamanic healing through some folks in Crystal Mountain in Ecuador. And for some reason, whatever happened in that healing shifted my energy considerably. And I've been able to cross that barrier, and my writing has been better and easier. It's not like I'm fighting something in myself all the time. And just a whole lot of other things have really sped up or moving with more flow. And so it was good timing for me to join Earth Empaths, because we're just a small forum, and it does take a handful of people who are willing to, you know, take the time to commit to posting stuff and keeping it interesting and keeping it going for those ebbs and flows. You know, there's times when there's a lot more going on there, and then there's other times when it, you know, it's you know, like watching paint dry. There's not much going on, but it's worth it to keep that open. It's like a place on, you know, in cyberspace where a handful of us have just kind of stayed connected, even if we, you know, aren't on there all the time. You know, our energy is there. You can feel it. I can anyway. And it's been a labor of love. I know that for all of us that have participated there.
I recalled my thought that we were
And
just,
it's been a joy getting to know.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry.
You speak.
Oh, well, it's just been a real joy getting to know some of the people behind the scenes. I have to say that when I joined Project Avalon, I guess in a way, what I was really hoping for was more connection with like-minded people. And it, you know, it kind of, you know, happened that way, but it really wasn't the connection I was looking for. So over the progression of, you know, since 2011, when I first joined Project Camelot, which was actually the first forum I joined, and they kind of just couldn't keep it together. So I finally went to Project Avalon, even though it wasn't my first choice. But anyway, it's just been a real progression, I have to say. All of it has, I've noticed many of us, it's like a shared journey, not just myself, but for many of us, I would have to say.
Yeah, I mean, back when I joined Project Avalon, and actually I joined right after that Charles thing, that guy. And I became quite chummy with Charles. He put together a group called the 18, of which I had become a part of. That's ancient history. But I remember, you know, at sometimes it was so busy there. It was like Walmart on Black Friday. Yeah, it was like, oh, the hordes would rush in. It was quite a pace. In certain ways, there's the pace and the management of Project Avalon almost has a corporate feel. Not quite, but yeah, it's a little bit whatever. Where the other forums are just, you know, you really feel like you're in a neighborhood. You know, and PA is a little more like being in a Manhattan high rise.
Absolutely. I guess the best way I could describe it is being at Project Avalon was being, for me, almost like being in the lunchroom in high school. It was much different. And so these other smaller forums had grown up where you've actually kind of gotten to know each other. They're smaller. There's not really any hidden agenda that I know of. You know, everybody's getting to know each other better, and we're kind of taking down those filters, and it just feels more homey and more welcoming, I guess. So it's more like being in somebody's home.
Yeah.
Rather than the high school lunchroom. That's the best way I could put it.
So, have you been listening to our other Cosmic Emporiums with the podcasts?
I listened to number 1 and number 3, and part of the one was Shadow Stalker, and then I think I listened to the one that where Geo explains why he's not going to be on very much or at all for a while. So I have limited I get like 20 gigabytes a month, which we go through rather rapidly.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I actually have been bad lately and listening to more anyway. And we're probably going to go over badly this month, but I don't care. My husband does it all the time. He listens to music videos and what the heck. So it's my turn.
Well, I had a communication from Geo just yesterday, and things continue as they are right now. He might do some shows in April, and I think that's great news. And since this is
that would be wonderful.
Since this is a Cosmic Emporium, I did want to get that out there. That I think we might see Geo in April, and I know he's well liked. I mean, I put out videos on my own. The ones that he's on do much better. He's really well liked. I think he helps balance me out. I mean, even you.
He is well liked. It's been delightful.
I like to have people to talk with. For me, the ideas I have, I mean, they're working for me now, but they're dynamic. They're not static. They're not set. And in many ways, when I put my ideas out, I'm asking other people to proofread them in a way. All I ask is that those who will proofread me, have the grammar and spelling skills to do so.
Well, I've enjoyed everything that I have listened to so far, and I have to admit that Geo starting the Cosmic Emporium is probably part of the reason I'm talking to you now, because I don't know that I would have actually taken you up on the offer that you'd made. But I thought, well, I've listened to I've watched his posts on and read his posts for years on Avalon, and always wondered who that person was behind those posts. And so now I know a little bit more about who he is, and it's been very delightful. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think I know you have things that you need to go off and do. And is there anything? I mean, I don't have to close the show, but I'm trying to be mindful of your own time. But if there's any things you would like to say, without me questioning, I mean, please have a forum, speak to our brothers and sisters.
I think this is pretty good for today.
All right.
I enjoyed very much our conversation together, and I think I'm probably good for now.
Okay. Well, it's real. One of the things that's interesting, none of these videos ever get posted on Project Avalon. I don't know if you noticed that.
I don't go there very much. It's
yeah. No.
I don't know. My interests have just changed, so I've kind of moved on to other interests.
When I started my videos 2 years ago, and Geo was doing Up at the Ranch and Beyond, he had thrown up a few of my videos. Oh, and they told him, "Oh no, you can't do that."
Yes, that's what you were mentioning about that corporate feel. Yes, that explains it very well.
I mean, ultimately, it's the Bill Ryan.
And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's the Bill Ryan feel. But again, we're talking about we're talking about Project Avalon is an achievement. Exactly whose achievement might be quite a conversation, but he's the one at the head, and we whatever he runs this forum as he likes to run it, and he has certain people he doesn't like, and I'm one of them.
It's been part of my education in discernment, very much.
Yeah,
and I thank them for that very much.
Yeah, no,
but it's the growth process can take you into new territories, and I'm excited to go there. There's a whole lot on my horizon, and even though the world seems to be falling apart, I'm pretty excited to be alive. And there's just so many good things happening out there, and I'm fortunate that I'm able to plug into a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I want to inspire others. So hopefully my sticking my neck out here today will help do that. Hopefully somebody else will go, hey, if she can do it, I can do it too.
I think somebody will be, whether or not it'll be in droves, I don't know, but I just have a feeling that you coming out and speaking is somebody else is just going to say, you know what? Yeah, me too. So I want to thank you for coming on to Cosmic Emporium and thanking us, and being with us, Spirit Wind. And I'd like to thank the guests, our viewers out there, the Cosmic Emporium viewers, for viewing the show. And if you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. If you have something to say, please leave it in the comment section. And you haven't yet subscribed, please do. As we all know, YouTube seems to be doing little squirrely things. I'm not going to accuse them of any crimes, but subscriptions have been really strange lately. So anyway, so if you make sure when you click up there, if it says you're subscribed, you're subscribed. If you're not and you'd like to, please do. And if you were and you're not, well, that's what I was just talking about. So thank you again, Spirit Wind. Thank you out there. God bless you. Love to you all. And until next time, be well.